well, I have to say this is a little bit awkward, a little bit different, but at the same time practicing the safe constraints of what we're trying to do. Adam Wedklake probably doing the same thing. I love the artwork in the back. Is that what kind of pipe is that over your head? Is that a furnace? That's not a furnace pipe. Is that a?
That's a fireplace pipe. That's a fireplace. Okay. Yeah.
He's keeping warm. That's a good thing.
Keep warm in the basement.
There you go. Normally we do this on a court with a basketball net above our head, but today we're doing it in the confines of our home. That does not mean work is stopped by any means. I'm sure, Adam, you're very busy. Give me a bit of an update of what's been happening over the last month since the last time we chatted.
Sure thing. Theo, it's been definitely a new wave for everybody, let alone just sport. But just specifically with basketball, we've had to make some tough decisions, but the right ones to deal with the health issues in the community and unfortunately cancel a fair bit of activity, especially in the latter part of March, which for basketball is right at the pinnacle of our seasons. March Madness is a buzzword that a lot of people use, not just in basketball, but it has its roots in basketball and right from top down, right from the pros to the U.S. college system, which just about to start its big March Madness run in the latter part of that month, to what happens in Manitoba here. Our championships are all, unfortunately, were impacted by this and had to be scrapped basically right from the grades 7 to 12 range that has their events happening in that latter part of March. So, yeah, it's been basically an unwinding of the sport over the last, including to this very moment, where as we look forward right now through the months of April, May, June, which traditionally for our sport, these 4 months, including March, are our busiest times of the year. So it's unfortunate that this happened regardless of the time of year. But of course, for specifically talking about our sport here, it's probably the worst time of year that's probably impacting the most activities.
That's, you talk about being March Madness. It's when it first was mentioned that they were going to try and finish off the conferences and then try to get some sort of a March Madness together, and then it was completely shut down. I wasn't thinking more about just the fact that the game is shut down, but what it means to potentially players, whether they're seniors in college or seniors in high school. This is their last hoorah, so to speak, of playing high school basketball or at that upper level, that upper echelon before they graduate. And it's a bitter taste. It's a bitter feel, not just for basketball, for every sport that had playoffs up here in March and April.
Yeah, a lot of that is I guess if you're not in grade 12 or your last year of university, luckily the Canadian system, college and university, had finished the week prior, so There was minimal impact in Canada for athletes at that level. But locally here, it is when you sort of see the grade 12 athlete, this is sort of their pinnacle of their career. A lot of kids reach the pinnacle in their grade 12 year, and only a very small number move on to the next level. So especially programs that probably were at least on paper at the time, were favored to do well, and then have it unfortunately end in sort of midstream like this is the kids you really feel for. The kids that are maybe, of course, everybody you feel for, but kids that are in grade 11 or under that still have future years. But ultimately, if we look back in 6 months from now and say, well, the worst that you had to deal with was a little less basketball in your life, in the big picture, when you look at the health concerns that are out there, it would be pennies on the dollar of the problems that other people are facing in the economy and other people that are dealing with some more hardship. So it's perspective is the big word that we're also keeping in mind. That it's unfortunate, but perspective wise, it's we have to do our best on our part as a sport, because we do bring, just like any sport out there, big and small, bring a lot of people together, and we do need to do our part to keep the physical distancing or social distancing that is being requested throughout the community to help get ourselves back to some normalcy sooner than later.
Some normalcy soon would be nice. I got to ask this question because as an executive member of Basketball Manitoba, the guy, who makes the decisions whether or not championships are being handed out at the end of the year? I mean, I've always wanted to ask this question for the last couple of weeks, and I was waiting for you because, are there going to be asterisks? Are going to be how are they going to be giving championships out based on the?
Yeah. Are you there still too? I may have lost you here.
Play of regular on me. There we go.
Hey, sorry. I think we lost for a sec, but I think let me just get my camera back. Hopefully Glenn can do his magic to
Glenn will figure something out here. Yeah, well, I'm going to write down these times so we can get it going here. I'll ask the question again.
Sure. About deciding who decides.
Yeah. So coming back at this, how this, because the season's ended abruptly with just regular season action, no playoffs, Adam, are there going to be championships handed out for the breadth of this season and the work that was done? Or is it going to be, how is it going to be handled such that, there's no championships being handed out, but we're going to start a brand new season come the fall?
Right. Well, the deciding, there is a governance of our sport. We have a board of directors that ultimately makes the tough decision based on the information that we're provided. We have 10 members on our board. 3 of them are actually considered executive members. So that's the group that we actually work specifically with. That's a smaller group, our president, vice president, and treasurer, who can make the call with myself to make those tougher decisions. But like we started at the top there, a lot of those decisions are made above us, and we have to just take that information and unfortunately apply it to our sport. When we looked at it, it was sort of a wild 24 hours. Went from the NCAA in the States initially saying that we're going to just play games with no crowd, which would be crazy to think that would be how you would see a game happen, being the crowd. And any sport of that level, whatever sport it is, has such an impact in the game and just the ambiance and such. And then the NBA itself shutting itself down, with the NHL sort of all within hours of itself, basically put the writing on the wall for us that if multi-billion-dollar operations can make that call, amateur sports, which is sort of looking at the pecking order, can do the same. But ultimately, it's the advice from the health authorities to not bring people, whatever the activity is, sport or otherwise, together. And so it was a tough decision, but in the end, when you make it, you think, okay, it's the right one. And again, like I said a moment ago, perspective is the key word in sort of balancing all this. Ultimately, what happens with championships that are canceled, that's the $1 million question that, of course, even at the time, even to this day, we still get inquiries from coaches and players impacted by this. Even it's almost a month ago now, or just a little less than a month ago, that are asking that very question. In most cases, unfortunately, because of just the timing of championships, because they're usually very date oriented of wrapping up a season, and also a big part is the reliance of our sport on gymnasiums, and basically with the schools being closed. And that was another significant moment last week when the school system, the provincial government made the move to redefine the opening of schools to be indefinite as opposed to having an actual date on it. Most likely will mean for the rest of the year, at least the school year until June, schools and facilities will be off limits to us. So that basically ties our hands to even have a potential option for a plan B. And most likely it'll go down, unfortunately, in the record books as no championship or no winners presented, or however this will get worded in the record books.
We can still have the individual awards handed out correctly that were done for the regular season. I believe the last time we chatted, those were nominees and those were already being handled, such that similar to other conferences or the league play, it's based on the regular season play, correct?
That's right. So we had actually a lot of data already. The deadlines were just really in that same window of time. So we're pleased to still be able to present virtually. Of course, we usually have our event coming up. It's on the 18th of April, which is next Saturday. We would have normally presented those in person at a large event and have an all-star game, multiple games on the court, and a nice wrap up to the seasons. Unfortunately, that extends into that event. So, but still, we had a lot of data, probably 95% of the data already in from the feedback from our coaching community on who they see as people that would be worthy of receiving recognition of, like, an All Manitoba recognition, Coach of the Year, Player of the Year, other different awards and scholarships. So we're able to still present those virtually. We'll be doing that still on the 18th through our communication platforms. So it's a small, I guess, silver lining that we can still recognize, but unfortunately people play, it's a team sport, and not being able to get those teams on the court to actually win, and not just sort of look at, okay, here's our top 10 ranking, which is on paper, or our seeds going into the championship, which is all fine, but after a championship is played, normally the seeds really don't matter. It's really ultimately what happens at the end that people pursue.
Yeah, we unfortunately won't have the opportunity to see the diaper dandies, the 8 versus 1s, the Cinderellas, if you will. But whoever finished one is probably going to be that one for the season. And again, it is a silver lining to congratulate some of these players and these coaches and volunteers and the awards that will be given out next. Is it going to be happening next Saturday still, you said?
Just virtually, yeah. Just through our website and social media. Again, just to recognize, we usually do about 75 different awards. We do this right from the single A to 4A, which covers basically all corners of basketball in Manitoba here and all levels. So yeah, it's not ideal, but I guess we're not dealing in ideal situations regardless. So it's just a matter of adapting and most you look at a lot of other within our sport at different levels, or other sports are doing something similar to still again recognize those that had a nice 2019-20 season.
For sure. So that resource is going to be made available. What other resources, Adam, are available for players, coaches, volunteers to keep their game up? I mean, sure, it's hard to play one-on-one with a shadow, but I mean, there's a lot of basketball nets in people's yards. What type of resources are available from Basketball Manitoba for the community?
Well, what I would suggest people to do is to follow us on our social media platforms. Basketball MB you can find us on either Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And all three platforms, we've been regularly, probably a couple times a day now, since the closures, has been sharing either some internal content that we've been producing. Just by ironically, we had produced a fair bit of this back in January and February, not thinking that this would be useful or it would be more just another resource to put out there in the good times. But we've been putting that out. We call them quick hitters. And our high performance coach, Dan Becker, has done about 45 of those short ones. They're about a minute each. So they're all to the point, quick information, that tidbits that players and even coaches can, again, just for their knowledge and information. We also are sharing a lot of content from the Junior NBA, which is in the States, obviously the youth arm of the NBA. Are putting about 2 or 3 items per day of things that young players can do in their basements, in their driveways, with a ball, basic stuff, and sometimes not even with a ball. So we're trying to just keep it as wide and as broad as possible, that kind of information. And a lot of it's to do with, again, keeping your fitness levels up, so that you're still staying active. It's a mental distraction, again, to maybe, even though the content comes through a screen, through a tablet or a smartphone or a laptop, but to put those items down, get that some information and set yourself up with a mini workout to give yourself that time away from the screens, I think is also healthy this time of year with what's happening. But definitely follow us. There's a lot of good content from a wide range of people that we're able to share. Another one that's specific on the coaching front, and again, we never had this in mind when we created this 6 months ago. We have a new coaching education website. It's manitobabasketballcoach.ca. And from there's literally thousands of hours of content that we've amassed over the years from different sources, whether they're past events that we've run, say our Super Coaches Clinic, which we run every year, and we've done that for 12 years now. We've got every video, every presentation from that event for the last 12 years on that site. Plus, that just probably represents 5% of the content that's on there. We've got information going way back from basically everything we've shared over the years, all in one place. It's wide open to any Manitoba coach. They just have to quickly sign up to the site, and within a few hours, they'll have full access. And there's some good content as well there for referees. Again, that's a big component of our sport, who unfortunately them as well have been impacted by this closure, with a lot of content on there. Again, keeping your mind, your body ready, because the basketball, this will pass us. We'll get out the community. We'll get through this in the coming months. But we want to hit the ground running when green lights given back to us, and keep kids active and growing the sport that we all love.
Speaking with somebody yesterday with regards to that exact point, is being ready as if that lift was being tomorrow. Being ready to go. I'm hoping that we have that opportunity sooner than later to see kids playing together and, you know, enjoying the sport that we all miss right now. I mean, from the NBA, from NCAA, from the local, I mean, we all miss the fact that we get to see live sport, Adam. And I'm pretty sure your office, as well as being twiddling the thumbs, are kind of wondering, when is this going to get going? I mean,
yeah.
Are you able to get into the office at all, or is it something where it's just
basically shut down? Yeah, it's basically shut down. Where at least we're able to, like, basically with a internet connection and a phone, you can basically carry on most. Now, unfortunately, we've been sort of the unwind or rewind mode for the last month of making the tough decisions to cancel and all the things that go with it, from facilities to budgets to travel to communicating all that to the key people. It's been a bit surreal in doing that, and a little frustrating. But again, in the big picture perspective, if this is what we have to deal with, and this is our only impact we have to deal with, then so be it. We'll get through this. One other thing I would like to say, just as a one I guess to be part of this is the world of outdoor basketball. Playing on a hoop on your driveway or attached to your garage, wonderful, great. Do it. Get out, get some fresh air. Unfortunately, though, we've been seeing a bit more of this, and we've been asking our community to step back on is the outdoor public courts. Yeah. Basically, the city and province have officially closed them. Unfortunately, just like a ball diamond or a soccer pitch, it's tough to put up fences and lock the padlock and say keep out, turn off the lights. Can't do that. No. In most cases, basketball courts are no different. So we're asking the community to respect the distancing request by the health community to be part of this, and it pains us to say this because we want to see. I love driving by or walking by outdoor courts and seeing them full of kids and people enjoying the game, and unfortunately we just got to take a pause on this. And I've seen some stories out of New York City, which is definitely the mecca of outdoor basketball. They've unfortunately had to go through, and I think they had to physically remove about 200 backboards and rims from courts because people unfortunately weren't listening, and that's definitely a hard hit community big picture in this whole health situation. And so I don't want us to have to get to that and start removing items, because that's a good reason when things start settling down again that those hoops may not come back. It may not be a high priority or may not hit a budget for the year to pay that person to reinstall that court. We don't want to see it come to that. So if we all respect the requests from the community, health community, then those courts will be ready for us once the green light comes back to us all.
An important request coming from the man that is the executive, the man with the plan, the man of the hour, the head of Basketball Manitoba. Adam, couldn't have said it any better. I mean, I've been to New York and I've seen those hoops being used almost 19, 20 hours a day. And I know full well that they're probably hurting just as much as everybody else. And if you have that hoop at home, that's all good. But the public places, like you said, stay away. Mine's got a bit of a lean on it. I used to hang on mine a little bit. Back when I used to have a thing called and what's that called? Not elevation. We used to have a bit of a jump on a little bit of hop in my step. I used to be able to get up there a little bit, but not anymore.
We could lower it down. You could probably lower it down for you to get it.
I had it probably set around 8
your vertical.
About 8 feet. My vertical wasn't 36 inches, but I had it set at 8 feet, and I had a buddy of mine who was about 5'7", and man, he had hops, and he just crushed it all the time. I'll never forget that high school party 20 years ago. But nonetheless, Adam, I look forward to catching up with you in the next month. Hopefully we have some better news. But again, keep up the resources. Again, basketballmanitoba.ca, correct?
Yeah, you'll find everything there.
You'll find everything there. The resources, all the links will be there. Follow them on social media, Facebook as well. I mean, daily. I mean, there's something new to be checking out there. I get the weekly emails as well. Great stuff. And it doesn't always have to pertain to basketball. As long as it's sport activity, it's a bit of a lift off the needle of the album, if you will, from everything that's mundane, and it gets you out and being active. So
definitely
awesome, Adam. Good talking with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Theo.
This
Stay
has
safe.
been-
Stay safe. Everybody else too, please.
Everybody stay safe. Adam Wedklake with Basketball Manitoba. Thank you very much.